and to watch that first one fall. And as that tower fell, Danielle fell down to the ground. In my book, I wrote about 9/11 and what it was like at the station. You know, Danielle was there, Scary was there, Scotty B was a part of the show then, right? And who else was here? I guess that's just us, right?
That's it.
Yeah. What a day that was. Beautiful. You know, I don't know if you're in the New York area right now. It was just like today. Beautiful, crisp, clear, kind of fall, cool day. It's interesting how today turned into this, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty wild. Anyway, the day that started out beautiful, of course, ended up, as you know, arguably the most tragic days of our lives, and the lives of so many people who lost loved ones, and all the heroes that went to work immediately, running into the city while everyone else was running out. And that day, just so many emotions it brought, like fear and confusion, and then patriotism, and then anger, and all of it. I'll never forget, Tim Louie, our producer, said, "Hey, we just got a report that a helicopter hit the World Trade Center." And our studio in Jersey City across from the Hudson River was built to showcase the World Trade Center. The towers were right there in front of us, and that's why they put our studio there, so you could see what was basically theater in the round, which was downtown Manhattan. Theater in the round meaning New Jersey and Staten Island and Brooklyn and Queens. Everyone could see downtown Manhattan. And we all watched, wondering why there was smoke coming out of that tower. Then it went from the rumors of a helicopter to a small plane. And then when they told us it was a commercial jet, we knew that this is something we don't understand. And then when the second plane hit the other tower, we all knew. Right, Danielle?
We all watched it. I mean, We
watched it happen.
Yeah, we were standing at the window after the first plane hit, and they had said pilot error. And then we watched the second plane, and I remember screaming, "Turn, turn, turn. Why aren't you turning? Why aren't you turning?" And then they didn't turn, and then that's when we realized that it wasn't an accident.
So we were in a high-rise in Jersey City, like 38th floor, some 30, whatever. It's way up there. And we didn't know. We didn't know what was to come. We didn't know if every building in America was a target of a plane. We just didn't know. So the thought was, well, get out of this building. But
they evacuated our building because we were in one of the highest buildings.
And we stayed.
Yeah,
of course we stayed. And I'll tell you why. We stayed because we're on the air. We got to figure out what to do. We have a responsibility to the community. At that point, we realized that even though we do have a responsibility, we're not a news organization. Who are we just to sit up here with microphones and just pretend to know what's going on or just to assume things? So we actually turned on the audio. I believe it was from Fox 5, the local affiliate, right?
Yes.
They were on live reporting with people on the scene. They were responsible journalists, not us. So we let them take over. And we would turn the audio down from time to time and say, look, this is why we're doing this. Something awful's happening. Then we heard about what happened in Pennsylvania, and then we at the Pentagon, and not knowing who was going to be attacked next. So then we knew it was time to leave when we saw the first tower crumble and fall to the ground. It wasn't real. Those were permanent structures, permanent parts of our city. And to watch that first one fall, and as that tower fell, Danielle fell down to the ground and started crying. Remember that?
Yep.
So we decided time to leave.
Yep.
I was in my car in Jersey City, heading away from the city, and then people in the streets were pointing up behind me, and I was stopped at a light, and I looked in my rear view mirror of my car, and it was the strangest thing. I watched the second tower fall in the rear view mirror of my car.
That's how I did it too.
And
everybody was rolling down their windows saying to each other, what is going on? What is going on? And there were the red lights in the streets, and nobody was paying attention to the red lights. Everybody was driving through them because nobody knew what to do or what was happening.
So I lived an hour out of the city in the country, and my friend Dennis was with me. So we spent the night out here, and we were watching the news, and the news was unfolding. We're learning more and more about what this means. And then the next morning, I'm like, we got to go in. So we had to go through a lot of stop, stop points where people with machine guns were not letting us anywhere near the river, but we told them who we were. They let us in. We walked into the studio, and it was dark, and all the audio was on from CNN at that point, I believe. And I just turned the audio down because every one of our phone lines was ringing at 5:30 in the morning.
Damn.
People were calling our radio station. I'm thinking, well, what do they want from us? So we just turned the audio down from CNN and put our headphones on and just started taking calls. And that's when we really, truly realized that we are here for the public. That's what we're here to do. People were calling, waiting for their fathers and mothers to come home who worked in the tower. People were on the New Jersey Turnpike asking for people to pull over and give them a ride to South Jersey. People were calling in saying, hey, we need supplies. And that's when it turned into September 12th, which was a very important day as well.
In the building that we parked in, a lot of people would take the ferry from there over to the Trade Center every single day. And there were so many cars that nobody ever came to claim because they didn't make it out.
Right.
And so their family members had to come in the weeks to actually get their car. And it was just so ridiculous. I can't even.
I know that even though patriotism really, really kicked in and we really, really discovered an America that we truly, truly needed to be, at the same time, we saw a part of America that wasn't all that good. Gandhi has an interesting perspective. What was it like for you?
Well, I remember on 9/11 when it actually happened, I was in my classroom watching it unfold on TV. And for that day, everybody was on the same page. Everybody felt the same way about something. The next day, everything changed, I think, for me and for people who look like me, because suddenly we were the enemy. And even though, one, you should never paint everybody with the same brush, and, we weren't from that region that people were trying to come down on, that's when I started to receive a ton of racism and people leaving dog crap at my door or throwing eggs at the house. I remember walking by a police officer and him saying to me, "I can't believe you have the balls to show your face." And I was like, what? It was a very crazy time, and it was so sad because we were all grieving just like everybody else was. But to so many people, suddenly me and people who look like me, we're the enemy. Whether that was accurate or not, that's what my life then became after that. And the airport, the airport's never been the same for us. But it was just a very interesting thing. And I'm always pretty quiet when people talk about this and say, it was such an amazing time those months after because everyone was on the same page and we all came together. And I think a lot of people did come together, but people like me were kind of left out in the dust and targeted a bit for things that people thought happened, that they thought we were responsible for, that it was just a very weird, sad, really scary time for me. And I'm not trying to make it about me at all. It's just such an interesting take to hear everybody's different experience from that day and the following months, and then hearing everyone on the same page about how loving it felt and how great it was, and then knowing that there was this whole community where we were definitely not part of that. We wanted to be, but we kind of weren't allowed, which was a whole different dynamic.
So to all the people that we lost, but also to the things that we need to learn from that experience, and Gandhi giving you a great example of what we need to learn from things like that. You can apply this to today and what we're going through in America today with other issues. And, rather than lashing out or saying things that you really should know more about before you blurt them out, it's a good time to learn. Like, why am I feeling this way about that person? Is it real? Am I believing something that I shouldn't be believing? Am I listening to someone who really doesn't know what they're talking about? So, yeah, I can't imagine what you went through. And many, many of our listeners who went through the same exact thing.
Oh, yeah.
When at the same time, it was a country united for so many other people.
Yeah. Wow.
So with that said, a lot of great specials streaming online and on TV. It's okay. It's okay to have an hour of your life where you just learn a little more about something that was so important. And so many people who weren't even alive or too young to remember what happened on 9/11, get a hold of them and let them know it's something that they need to understand, because it really shaped where we are with our lives today.